So hi and assalamualaikum. Today my partner and I are going to present about our HACCP plan of soft cheese. So I am Nurul Najihah binti Abdul Aziz. My metric number is 198024. And my partner Nur Afira Shamiza binti Mat Haripin. Her metric number is 198985.
Okay, so today I will be presenting about the FILA table. FILA table is next. FILA table is presented for the facts, ideas, learning issues, and action plans. So this is the table that we derive from the article that we learned. So the first thing that we know from this article is this CDC or the Centers of Disease Control of Prevention is the one that declared the outbreak. And then the ideas that we get from this fact is the CDC serve as national focus for this disease prevention and also playing important role for this health of the United States people. And the action plan that we think we need to do is to check the CDC official websites and journal to gain the knowledge regarding the control that we've been doing and the prevention for the disease. The second fact we derive from this article is CDC posted they have this database of fingerprints for the bacteria that causes this foodborne illness. And the ideas that we derive is this DNA fingerprinting performed on this bacteria using this method called WGS or whole genome sequencing. And then the action plans that we think we need to do is refer the journal and the official websites for the further information for this case. And then the next step is this official collect the samples from El Abuelno for the brand Hispanic style fresh and soft cheese for this where is the testing the sample for because there's people that reported these types of cheeses have caused them disease. And then the ideas that we get this is WGS or the DNA fingerprinting were performed and then closely related that this brand is related for this Listeria bacteria and then food contaminated with Listeria monocytogenes uh, not look for the smell or spoil but can also still cause the serious and sometimes life-threatening infections. And the action plan or the things that we do for these facts is that we refer to the update for the symptoms for the Listeria bacteria and they check the journal on official journal for the Listeria bacteria outbreak, causes and their effect. Next, the food safety objective. First one is lab testing result to ensure the microbiological contaminants and the time frame is monthly and person in charge is hazard team leader and quality control manager. The next one we have supply execution. With this, we want to achieve total quality management more than 80% in every 6 months and the person in charge is the quality manager. Next one, we have food safety training, which is we have 6 hours for food safety training for all employees and the time frame is yearly. The next, we have customer complaint, which is we try to achieve 10 complaints a year or less for the safety and the quality of food. And the last one is the internal and external audit, which is process more than 85% comply the specification with the time frame every 6 months, and the person in charge is quality manager.
Okay, so for the product description, so our product name is a soft cheese. And the raw material ingredients used is just pasteurized milk, rennet, which is the enzyme, and salt. So the microbiological limit for this soft cheese is for both Listeria monocytogenes, it must be absent in 25 gram, and Salmonella must be absent in 1 gram, Staphylococcus aureus and E. coli must be around 100 CFU per gram, and also coliforms is 10 to the power 4 CFU per gram, and Campylobacter must be absent in 20 gram. So for the chemical limit, the pH is 6.5 to 6.2, and copper is around 0.002%, iron is 0.01%, and lead is 0.0005%. So for the physical, the appearance of the soft cheese is white cheese with soft texture, and the odor and taste is for the typical cheese odor and flavor. So the process involved is the receiving, pasteurizing, coagulating, curd cutting, whey removing, salting, ripening, packaging, and storage. So the intended use is either ready to eat or ready to mix ingredient, which the preparation depends on the final use and may be part of the recipe instruction. So the customer we intended to sell to is the general consumer without lactose intolerance since it involves milk, and also to be sold at supermarkets and retail shops. So the packaging we use is thermoform package made from polystyrene and polyvinyl chloride, and the shelf life is around 1 to 2 weeks and must be stored at below 4 degrees Celsius. So the labeling instruction in there is the company name and address, nutritional fact, list of ingredients, serving instruction, and certified logo. So the distribution and handling is it is transported in refrigerated container with the temperature below 4 degrees Celsius by ship, truck, or railroad. It must keep dry, keep away from heat, protect from moisture, and handle with care.
Okay, the next one we have process flow diagram, which is start with the four ingredients, four raw material, which is milk, rennet, salt, and then the packaging itself, which is thermoform. The three, which is the rennet, salt, and the packaging, will be inspection and then will be stored in the dry storage. For the milk, we gone through the inspection and the whole process for the cheese making. Uh, During the salting and ripening, we will be using the salt. And then for the coagulation, we will be using the rennet from the dry storage. And then the packaging will be using the thermoform after the inspection for the salting and ripening, because salting and ripening is the final stages for this cheese. And then after the packaging, we will go through the storage and then distribution. Next, we have plan schematic. So this is our plan schematic from the starter until the storage room, and then next for the distribution for the last step.
Okay, so for the hazard analysis of raw materials, so the raw materials used is the raw milk, in which we have discovered the biological and chemicals hazard in it, and also a physical hazard. So for the biological is a microbiological due to Listeria monocytogen, Yersinia enterocolitica, Salmonella, E. coli, coliforms, fungi, and Campylobacter. So the justification for this inclusion of the hazard, the biological is inclusion, is because it is responsible for the foodborne illnesses and poisoning. So is this a significant hazard? Yes, it is. The measure that can be applied to control this is the good manufacturing process during the milk collection reception, low storage temperatures, and adequate thermal treatment. So is this raw material packaging a sensitive material? Yes, it is. So for the chemical, they have antibiotics, hormone, toxins coming from the unhealthy animals, from environment, animal feed. Mycotoxin also are like organic substance that can be found in feed and could be transferred to milk. So this is also considered a significant hazard, and we must conduct the inspection, spot check of raw material. So for the physical, the inclusion is wood, stone, metal, sand, and dirt, which is the foreign object that accidentally was introduced into the product during its handling. Is this a significant hazard? No, it's not. We should conduct the inspection, spot check of the raw material, and also trace and recall program to control the movement of food production from the reception. Next ingredients is the rennet, which is the enzyme. So its biological hazard is inclusion, the recontamination of microorganism by coliform from raw material and others such as Salmonella, Shigella, and Staphylococcus. So the poor hygienic conditions during production could cause a recontamination and lead to abnormal fermentation. So this is a significant hazard. We must conduct rennet analysis and inspection spot check of the raw material, and this is a sensitive material. So for next is salt, which is a chemical, but we exclude this. The chemical is element residues, copper, iron, and lead. Why we exclude this is because the amount does not exceed the permitted amount, and this is not a significant hazard. We could just conduct the inspection, spot check of raw material, and also buy from an approved supplier. And this is not a sensitive material. So for the packaging, we use a thermoform package made from polystyrene or PVC. So the biological hazard is the microbiological contamination by the microbes, and the microorganism can be transferred from the cross contamination during handling. So this is a significant hazard, and we must practice good personal hygiene and avoid direct touch to products, wash hands, and wear the glove. But this is not a sensitive material. So the thermoform package also have a physical hazard, which is the plastic can cause a potential injury such as choking, cuts, and infection. But this is not a significant hazard. So we can conduct the inspections, spot check, and also the trace and recall program. And no, this is not a sensitive material.
Okay, so next for the hazard analysis for the process. First process is the receiving, so the raw material, raw milk from the supplier, and the potential hazard the biological contamination due to the several microbes. And the justification for the inclusion is the microorganism can grow from the personal transportation, also can from the lack of hygiene practices. And measure to control this hazard is wash hands and also practice good personal hygiene. Next. That's also for the biological contamination due to the Staphylococcus aureus and Staphylococcus epidermis. This is mainly from the unhealthy animals farm environment. And the things we prevent is the conduct the inspection, the raw check of the raw material and buy from the approved supplier. Next, we have physical contamination and the chemical contamination. For the physical contamination from the foreign object that accidentally introduced, and for the chemical, we have mycotoxin from the animal feeds that is come from the organic substance that could be transferred into the milk. And the things we prevent or we control is to conduct the inspection of the raw material for this both contamination. And for the physical, we do the trace and recall program. And for the chemical, we buy from the approved supplier to prevent this accident. Next. Next, for the reception, raw milk from the storage and microbiological due to the Listeria monostoidea, Salmonella, Yersinia, and etc. And this microorganism can grow in the milk during the storage condition because the uncontrolled storage condition, and some bacteria can be grow under the low temperature. And then the things we control is we do the FIFO system, uh, first in first out system, and also the appropriate maintenance for the calibration storage room. Next, we have the pasteurization. Pasteurization by the biological contamination by the survival of the heat tolerant spores such as Bacillus cereus, Clostridium pescrescens, and more. And the things we control is we use raw material testing for this process. We apply the GMPs and the farmer and animal record. And we decided pasteurization for the is a CCP2. And CCP1 is the previous step, which is reception of the raw milk from the storage. Next. Next, we have the addition of the coagulation, and we decided it's a biological contamination from the coliform of raw materials, which is laminate, and the mechanism can be transferred from the materials and poor hygienic conditions. And the things we do to the control for this is we check the product hygiene and ensure that it fits the specification for this process. Next, we have the cutting the cuts, which is biological contamination, also from Salmonella, Shigella, Staphylococcus aureus, and Campylobacter. And this is inclusion because of the labor hand can recontamination during the cutting, contact from the equipment, utensils, and work surfaces. And the things we do to control this is we avoid cross contamination and practice good personal hygiene. Next, we have waste removal, also biological contamination from several microbes, and this is caused inclusion because of the transfer and recontamination from the equipment, work surfaces, and utensils. Also, the things we do to control is we practice good personal hygiene and avoid the cross contamination. Next, we removal, we have microbial contamination due to Staphylococcus aureus. This step especially happens in soft cheese because of the increased amount of water loss will be depending on temperature and pH of the product. And the thing we do to control is we apply the proper time temperature control. Next, we have sorting and ripening. For sorting and ripening stages, we can the contamination is the chemical is more. Because of this stages, we can have the high temperature and relative humidity. So mold can grow and multiply in this condition. So the things we do to control is we apply the proper time temperature control. This step also can have the biological contamination from the Staphylococcus aureus, and this is especially happens like the previous step, which is the amount of water loss. And then the thing we do to control is we have the appropriate maintenance for the calibration of the storage room. Yeah. So the packaging we have biological contamination from the Salmonella, Shigella, Staphylococcus aureus, Campylobacter. There's inclusion because of a few reasons, such as microorganism can be transferred during cross contamination because of the handling, and the unhygienic soft cheese can contaminate the equipment to the packaging, and this also can be happens from the labor hand and touch and contaminate the product. So the things we do to control this biological contamination is we practice good personal hygiene and avoid direct touch from the product, and wash hands and wear the glove. And also it can have a physical contamination from the plastic and cause the physical injuries such as choking, cuts and infections. So all we do to control is conduct the inspection or spot check for the raw material, and we do the trace and recall program. Next. Okay, storage. For storage, we have biological contamination from the Staphylococcus aureus and Staphylococcus epidermis. This is particularly because of the high environmental temperature, and it can stimulate the production of this toxin in the soft cheese. So the things we do to control is we have a time temperature control, practice FIFO before, which is first in first out systems, and proper maintenance for the calibration of the chiller. And the next one, for biological contamination, we have also from the Campylobacter, Salmonella, Listeria monocytogenes, and etc. And this is happen from the recontamination from the containers, food utensils, food handlers itself, and also can be happen from the poor hygienic conditions. So the things we do to control this is practice good personal hygiene and avoid the direct touch. And also we decided storage is the CCP3. Next. So the last step is distribution. Distribution can be a hazard from the biological contamination of the Campylobacter, Salmonella, and more. And this justification we get from this is poor hygienic conditions during the handling, which can cause the contamination. And the measures that we apply to control is we establish the FIFO system, and also the medium use or the transportation storage should be sanitized properly. And that's wait 7 minutes. Mana aku nak tunjuk? 6 minutes.
Okay, so now we're going to look through the HACCP plan summary that we have come up. So the first CCP is the reception of the raw milk. The significant hazards is the biological hazard that has been stated previously. So for the critical limits, we have temperature which is below negative 4 degrees Celsius, below 4 degrees Celsius, and the duration should not exceed 24 hours. And the milk pH is around 6.65 to 6.45. So for monitoring, what we will do is the physical measurement, how temperature and storage duration and pH measurement, and the frequency is daily, and who will do it is the production member, supply chain manager. The corrective action is when the pH of the milk is out of the critical limit or antibiotic presence is detected, the lot must be rejected, and hygiene and the enclosed document should be recorded and filed. So the verification is the microbiological analysis of raw materials and finished goods. We also need to carry out additional sampling and testing monthly, and it will be done by the HACCP team leader, quality manager, production manager, supply chain manager, and processing manager. So it will be recorded in the microbiological assessment record. The next critical limits for CCP1 is the presence of antibiotics. Must be absent or the fungi, coliforms, and also for the monitoring, we must do the microbiological test. So the fungi, coliform, staphylococcus test must be done monthly and will be done by the quality control member and microbiologist. So the corrective action is reinspection of product. When the pH of the milk is out of the critical limit or antibiotic presence is detected, the lot must be rejected. So the verification is microbiological analysis of the raw materials and finished goods. So must carry out the sampling and testing monthly, has a team leader, and it be recorded in the microbiological assessment record. And then the supplier SQA supplier quality assurance will be reviewed of the supplier certificate status and obtain the updated documents must be done every 6 months by HACCP team leader, quality manager, and supply chain manager. The record is the supplier certificate copy. So and then we have HACCP internal audit, study all the documents related quarterly, and be done by the HACCP team leader, quality manager, production manager, microbiologist, supply chain manager. The record is the HACCP audit report. and also the inspection by regulatory and certification bodies. So it will be review all the records regarding food safety and must be done annually by the HACCP team leaders, certification bodies, and quality manager. And it will be recorded in the management report. So for the next CCP, which is pasteurization, first we have the biological significant hazards, which is the survival of the heat tolerance pores and toxins. So the first critical limits is the temperature, which is must be below it must be around 72 degrees Celsius, and the time is around 50 seconds. So the monitoring is the physical measurement, which is the temperature and time, must be done daily by the production members and supply chain manager. And then the corrective action is the thermometer correction and resetting of pasteurization temperature and time, and also maintenance or repairing of the separator and pasteurizer, and also good manufacturing practices. The next critical limit is the for the microbiological for still the same CCP2. So we will done the microbiological test. So for the fungi, coliform, staphylococcus, it will be done monthly by the quality control member and microbiologist. Uh, Corrective action for this is the inspection of product, sampling, and microbiological analysis of water used in the processing plants. So the verification, we have the maintenance, which is we must review the maintenance log and test the instrument condition status, which is done monthly by the supply chain manager, quality team, and production manager. It will be recorded in the maintenance log. Next is the HACCP internal audit, study all the document related quarterly by the HACCP team leader and others, and also recorded in the HACCP audit report. We also have the inspection by regulatory, review all the records annually, and it will be recorded in the management report.
Okay, so next is CP3, which is the storage during the chilling. And then we have a biological contamination for significant hazard. And the critical limit, as we listed before, below is temperature, duration, and relative humidity and the pH. So we do the monitoring with what, how, frequency, and who. Is biological contamination, we choose physical measurement and frequency daily. So we check the temperature, relative humidity, pH, and storage duration. So we also come out with the corrective action. Next, we have verifications. So the verification, the two verification that we use for the CCP3 is the microbiological analysis for the raw material and the finished goods, and carry out the additional sampling and testing. So the record we do for this microbiological analysis, the assessment record. And next we have the calibration, which is the calibration and processing of a instrument. We do this calibration process monthly, and record in the maintenance log. Next. Also, we have biological contamination from the Staphylococcus aureus and Staphylococcus epidermis, and much more like Salmonella, Campylobacter, Bacillus cereus. We detect from the journal, and it's the monitoring what, how, frequency, who for these steps. And the corrective actions is risk inspection the product, discard the product if the contamination was evident, and the replant temperature. And the last one, we have the verification process, two more for this CCP3. First one is the HACCP internal audit, and how we study all the documents related. We do this quarterly, and we got this in the HACCP audit report. And the last one is the inspection by regulatory and certification bodies by review and records order regarding for the food safety. And we record this in the management report. And that's all from us.